dog eat it.
I'm not. It's a fun one. I want to do it again, like eventually.
I'd like to do it in a couple
but
months.
not-
Like I think this is a great retest
Yeah.
workout
I'm
for
doing
a
it
lot
every
of
day of
different
the year.
things. Every day of
Every
the
day
year.
of the year until I can do all them handstand push-ups.
So you can make it to 12 minutes. I mean, it's
Good
only a 12-minute
Lord.
workout,
Yep.
so you could do that.
Don't do it every day.
Yeah, please don't. You're gonna hurt
Maybe every
yourself.
other day.
But yeah, so we're gonna continue on with our nutrition talk, and we'll talk about carbs and fats this week.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of break those two macronutrients down. So let's get into it. What are
Yep.
they?
What are carbs and what are fats?
Yeah, let's talk about carbs first. What are carbs? Like a lot of people, these two macronutrients people tend to have a lot of, I think, misconceptions about, positive and negative. So let's kind of talk through some of those, I think.
Yeah, I think first we should kind of start with the fact that carbs and fats are our source of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we kind of need to break down. We talked about protein in the last podcast. The body can use that for a source of energy, but it doesn't really want to. So fats and carbs are where we get our energy from.
We need fats and
Yes,
carbs.
you need them. Tremendously.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when people think I need to lose weight, they're like, oh, I need to stop consuming carbs.
Yes.
I need to stop consuming, that's the first thing that they think about when they...
Which I will say most of us eat too many carbs
Yeah.
and fats. Myself, I'm talking to you about that. So cutting those back, yes, but they're still necessary and they're still so good for your body. You shouldn't not eat carbs.
Yeah.
You shouldn't not eat them.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is a carb? Like what is a, let's talk about it sciencey first and then we'll talk about cake after. What is a carb?
I was about to say bread.
I know what you're about to say.
Not the green kind.
So, yeah, carb is a sugar, basically, that your body will break down and use for energy.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. So carbs are what your body wants to use for energy, can break them down super quickly, and use them for energy very quickly. So, they're a quick source of fuel, which is why your body really likes them. So they can be very, very useful, and especially in terms of working out or anything, daily activity that you have to do anything fairly quickly, and especially active. But your body does use them even outside of just physical activity. It could, your brain activity, your body's natural, normal functions, like that all takes energy too.
Yeah.
So just not quite as much. Obviously, you add a lot more to that when you start doing things physically active. So a carb is just a sugar that your body likes to use for energy because it can break it down very easily, get it to your bloodstream, get it into your muscles. There, it's ready to be used for fuel.
Mm-hmm. So, let's talk about good carbs first. We're going to talk about good carbs because a lot of people already think carbs are bad. So let's talk about some good carbs that we can eat just throughout the day.
Yeah.
Vegetables.
Vegetables are good carbs.
And like you were saying, there's some that are broken down fast. So like fruit.
Correct.
Sweet potato.
Well, sweet potato is a complex carb.
Yeah.
So there's some carbs.
Over there.
Yeah, science
I've always
teacher
heard
finna
that
get
it
you.
was...
I'm just kidding. I'm just
No,
kidding.
that's
You're
a good-
fine.
that's a good
great.
comment.
That's a great comment. Yeah.
So complex carbs have fiber, and our bodies can't break down fiber, and that just regulates like digestion and all that stuff to make sure like constipation. We can get into that. It's a whole nother podcast.
That is. That's a whole other.
But so things like really sugary help you go fast, or like they process really fast. They give you energy pretty quick. But things like potatoes, like rice, so starches, and then fiber, they break down slowly, and then there's some that don't break down,
Yeah,
and it just passes through.
I know there's different ones. There's like fast-acting carbs, like as soon as you consume them, they start acting. And then there's also slow-burning carbs.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
there's
think-
good ones in both.
I think it's good to understand that when your body has broken things down, there's no such thing necessarily as a good carb and a bad carb once it's broken down for energy. It's just how your body breaks it down and how quickly it breaks it down makes it a quote-unquote good carb or bad carb because of how fast it breaks it down and because of our type or lack of physical activity.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you are going to eat something that's going to break down very quickly, like you said, a sugar or fruit, well, that's great if you're doing something that you need energy very quickly because it jacks your blood sugar up pretty high, which is not bad unless you don't do anything, which most of us don't. You're like watching a movie and we're going to sit there and we're going to eat candy. Well, that's great, except for your blood sugar just got jacked up, and then it's going to crash. And when it crashes, it sends a signal for, okay, we're super low on blood sugar because it just crashed, and now we need more when you really don't. So then it's going to take that energy that it had ready for you to do something with, and it's going to put it into your fat stores to save it for later. So that's where those can be bad, is because we're just not using it.
Yeah.
It's a very readily source of energy that we don't use. Now, right before a workout, it's actually very common to eat some gummies or something, very simple sugar that's going to be broken down easily because you're about to use it, especially when you're lifting heavy. But for most of us, what we want is the good carbs, the starches that are going to be a more steady release. That's not going to spike your blood sugar super quick. It's going to be broken down a little bit slower. Still a good, ready source of energy, but it's not going to get that spike in your blood sugar.
So is it fair to say that more starchy carbs, that's what we want to eat in our meals?
Yes, absolutely.
We don't really want a ton, because we still want to eat fruits and things like that, but we don't want a ton of quick, sugary type carbs as our main source of carbs for the meal, I guess.
And that, I think, mainly for things like hormones and things like that play into it as well. Because you could eat candy. It would be a terrible diet and you would feel miserable and hate yourself. But you could eat candy for every meal and source of energy and still lose weight as long as your macros are staying under and you're at a deficit.
Yeah.
Are you going to be healthy?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Right. You're going to feel miserable and you're not going to be healthy at all. But you could lose weight that way. Now, you're going to be starving because you're not going to get any source of significant nutrients.
Yeah.
But like science-wise and math-wise, if we're talking about just losing body fat, a carb's a carb. However, a lot more plays into that. Your hormones, your attitude, how hungry you are, how you feel in a workout, all of that factors in. So then that's where we develop the good carb versus bad carb argument, is how is this going to make you feel? Is it going to give you energy for a sustained amount of time, allow you to actually work out, and things like that, which very directly affect your ability to stick with something and lose weight and stay in a deficit in a healthy way.
That's funny you say that about just eat candy, bringing that up. There's actually an NFL player outside of his 3 meals a day eats only candy throughout the day. He eats gummies, like different kinds. He buys like Skittle gummies. He buys Lifesaver gummies was his favorite. I believe it's actually DJ Metcalf.
Yeah.
And who is this? He's an NFL player?
Yeah, he's a wide receiver.
So let's make sure that's amazing. But he is an NFL player.
He is a
he's not about 4 hours.
He is an elite athlete. Yes.
He probably uses most of those simple sugars that he's getting in his body.
If I was an elite athlete, I'd do that too. I love gummies.
Yeah, I could.
I feel like he probably can't get enough carbs. You know what I mean? Like Shane. Like he can't get enough.
Honestly,
I do struggle to hit carbs. Like when I was tracking macros, like hitting my carb was like.
I bet that's hard.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Isn't he like 6'5", 230 something?
Yeah, he's
pounds?
ripped.
And ripped. So he needs a lot of calories and a lot of energy to do what he does too. So.
I know.
Unfortunately.
If only I could.
Unfortunately,
have that
it doesn't work that
problem.
way.
A lot of this stuff starts with like your taste buds too.
Yes.
Like sugar and stuff. Your taste buds immediately tell your brain like, oh, this is like quick sugars. Like I like these. But starches and stuff, vegetables, they don't do that same thing to your brain, which is very interesting.
It is.
I can use a pack of Gushers right now.
I know. What we talked about last week, blizzards from Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
We went to Dairy Queen after.
We
Yeah,
did.
y'all did.
We did went to Dairy Queen right after.
All y'all went to Dairy
We
Queen.
need to stop talking about
It's like-
food. Shane,
No.
we talked about pizza with Adam on Thursday morning. Got pizza for dinner that night.
Y'all did get pizza that
I was
night?
so hungry.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is-
But yeah, carbs. So I guess a lot of people, we can break the myth. Shane had kind of hit on it earlier. People think that when they start to lose weight or they want to lose weight, they cut out carbs completely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what that does for your body. If we cut out carbs completely or just super, super minimize our carbs, not even getting what we need throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like, what does that do for our body?
Your energy is
about
going
to
to
say,
go
Yeah.
would
way
plummet.
down. Yeah.
And how long do you think that would last? Like, do you think that they'll ever get used to that? Or do you think it's something that they're just going to kind of stay in this crashing state?
Like maybe they do like the keto diet or something. I
mhm.
think it's like a 2-week period.
Yeah. Your body gets used to it, I think.
Yeah.
But I
Is
think
it healthy?
Anybody want to
I
volunteer
say
and try this
no,
diet?
but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it can be.
Yeah.
I think you can do it and do it well, and it's okay. I think your workouts are going to suffer because I think carbs are going to fuel workouts most of the time. So if you're just eating fats and no carbs, I think you're not going to feel good in your workouts. And so having ineffective workouts, well, you could say, well, that's not getting you fitter faster. Most people, I feel like when they do a keto diet or a low carb diet, they're like, sweet, I can eat as much bacon as I want.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets in trouble.
You need to do clean keto.
Yeah, right.
With
Clean
vegetables.
Clean
Yeah.
keto would be fine. I think you're still getting the energy you need as long as you're still getting all the nutrients that you need from healthy sources. Then I think you could do it and do it well. I think it's probably a little more difficult than if you had carbs in your diet to be overall healthy. But it is
Now, for
it
the
is
athletes
possible.
that we cater to, which are just the athletes that come into our gym,
Yeah.
like, I don't think it's necessarily something we recommend
No.
is cutting your carbs significantly.
Yeah.
Because of what we're doing here. Yes, it's only
Right.
an hour of your day, but like, I mean, it's intense for an hour. Not the whole hour, but like it's high heart rate workouts most of the time, or we're lifting pretty heavy-ish. Needing that energy, needing that carb source is important.
Yeah.
You know, we're not really talking to people that are just walking, you know, like you need a different, I say just walking, like literally not doing anything but walking.
Yeah.
Like a couple miles a day maybe. You don't need the same, maybe you could sustain minimal carb eating longer. You know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say?
Like depending on your activity level,
Yes.
is how much you can determine whether you should consume a little bit more, or maybe you could withstand consuming less, depending
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Because all of this is energy.
Right.
Mhm.
Like energy that you're spending, and then energy versus like getting in.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
carbs just make you feel better.
Kind of like what we
You
touched
know?
on last.
Your brain.
They help your
Nutrition
brain. They
is
help
like-
your brain.
It's a little bit experimental,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
everything else.
I think it's good to note too that the only reason that low carb diets work is because they pretty much force most people to eat less calories, because most of their diet was carbs. So cut out most of their diet and make people find new ways to eat that's more difficult, then they're probably going to eat less, so therefore they lose weight.
Right.
But all they're doing is eating less calories. That's the only reason that low carb works.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to note. It's not the fact that it's the carb, it's the calories that they're overall not taking in that's making them lose weight.
Yeah.
I will say though, like if you start cutting out carbs and you add more fat, you're not going to add that much more food, because
Yeah.
fats are very
High in
saturated
calories.
in calories.
Yes.
Yep.
So now we can talk about some fats.
Yep.
I don't know, what is a fat? Like, what is fats?
Oils, nuts,
Mm-hmm.
avocados.
John wouldn't know; he
There's-
doesn't have any.
There's good. There's now they're saying there's no such thing as a bad fat, like the
Yeah.
saturated or whatever. But I think there's fats that you should definitely add to your diet,
Mhm.
like fish,
Mm-hmm.
oils. But then they say that the stuff that turns solid at room temperature, so like grease,
Sausage
Butter.
grease.
butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're saying those are bad if you do too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what happens every time I cook my sausage in the morning. set the pan there until I get done eating so I can wash everything that I cook with after my plate and the grease gets solid.
Do you ever cook with it?
I just dump it out.
No, you
Where do you
save
dump
that to
it?
cook with.
Huh?
Where do you dump it?
I just scoop it out with a spoon into the trash can.
Oh, okay. As long as.
And then I rinse it
Heat
out
it
with
back
hot
up and pour it
water.
down the
And
sink.
That's what I was worried he was gonna.
no, I don't do that. I know that stops up your sink. I know that stops your sink.
Yes. What?
Well, I was gonna say on a scientific level, fats are provide more energy than carbs do, but they're not as easily available. So your body doesn't like them to use them for a quick fuel source.
Some people.
Stores them.
Yeah,
Likes to store them.
yeah, it likes to store more, but it breaks them down slower, which is interesting
Yeah.
to think about because, and like you just said a second ago, if you have a sedentary lifestyle, you need slow energy because you're not really doing anything. So a high diet in fat is probably good.
Like
not
keto.
not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because a slow sustained fat source, as long as it's staying within or under the calorie intake that you want, is probably not a bad idea because you don't need that quick source of energy like you would if you're about to work out or be super active for a period of time.
Yeah.
So, this may or may not be a good question.
Shoot it.
Since, like you were saying, your body burns fat a lot slower, is that maybe why people are like, okay, cut out my carbs? If there's no carbs to burn, then boom, it goes straight to trying to burn the fat. So it increases how much fat you burn since there's no carbs to burn.
Yeah. So
It's a great question.
yeah. Yes, kind of. So you have to kind of differentiate between fat as food and fat in your body. One, two different things, right? So your body is going to take that fat that you ingest from food and it's going to digest it. Once it breaks it down, right? If there's no carbs available, once it breaks it down, it's going to break it down into a sugar to be used for fuel, just like a carb. That process is much, much slower, going from your digestive system into your bloodstream and into your muscles to be used for fuel. So, it depends on one, if you're eating enough, right? And if you're at a caloric deficit. You still have to be at a deficit to burn body fat.
Right.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Right. But there is a difference between fat that you intake and then fat in your body. So that does make a difference. So it goes to the same place though.
Yeah.
In your bloodstream and in your muscles to be used for fuel.
Yeah. So what are some, like, I know that Kelsey just said there's not really bad fats, but what are some like pretty, like, quality, maybe we shouldn't call it good, but quality
Avocado.
fats? Avocado. Good job, Shane.
We love some free shavacado.
So avocados are pretty good. Just some ways to get some healthy or quality fats into our diet.
I think
Make
meat
this
fats
guacamole
are pretty healthy.
Meat fats.
What are some bad ones?
Okay.
I know what we just said, but what are some other ones?
Would you there's different, you can get different percentages of fat in your meat, right? You can get
Yes.
lean beef, you can get high fat beef, or you can get some with very, very little. Also, deer meat has very little fat in it as well. So someone who is maybe trying to lose weight, would that be the better option, is going with the very lean beef?
Yes. But it's simply because of the fact of calories. That's it.
Yeah.
There's really no other reason. If you get like the 65% meat, 35% fat, that's so much fat.
But if you're just someone who's just eating meat like me,
Ew.
I just eat.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
That's
matter how much
weird.
fat's in it, how much fat's not in it. Is there really much of a benefit for me to go lean or go regular?
Not necessarily. If you're trying to gain weight, you should go
More
the
fatty.
fattier.
Right.
Yeah, just to get more calories because you're using so much for energy. But if you're trying to lose weight, I would definitely get the lean. because you're taking in less calories, and that's really what it comes down to in terms of losing weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so carbs and fats have gotten pretty bad reputations in the nutrition world, I guess, from a long time ago. I would say now, like, people are becoming a little bit more educated on carbs are not bad for you, fats are not bad for you, but they are high in, especially fats, high in calories. So that's just going to, when you do limit them in your diet, you are going to naturally lose weight.
Yeah.
Because the calorie intake is less.
Yeah.
Because that's what it all comes back to.
Yeah, you asked just a second ago, what are bad fats? I think bad fats would be the ones that you can eat the most of without realizing it, which comes down back to total calorie intake. And there are some differences in the type of fat and whatnot, but like if it's an oil of some sort, Kelsea, you said this, it's not going to fill you up very much, and you can ingest a lot of it. And that's
chips.
a lot of calories. This is where like fried foods get you. Fried foods are often seen as a carb, but the reason that they're bad is because they're fried in fat, which is liquid fat, so it's absorbed into the crust on whatever is fried of the carb.
Probably not the best kind of
then,
oil either.
Yeah, not the best kind of
So
oil.
you telling me fried pickles ain't good for me?
Yeah. So that's where it gets bad, is because you're ingesting a ton of liquid fat, which is a ton of calories, and your stomach feels like you really didn't eat that much because it's not that filling. So that's where you can get into trouble.
Yeah, and then you got to think like about your genetics too. So
Yeah.
like the fat that stays, or it's solid at room temperature, so like butter, meat, fat, stuff like that. Like if you have high cholesterol, heart disease, anything like that, that has a part in clogging your arteries. So it's not good for you to take in too much of that kind of fat. Now there are healthy fats that you need. So you need to look at your family's history, and there's heart problems. You probably should pay attention to not eating fried foods all the time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's why I try to help Ron. He eats so bad. I made him wear my Fitbit last night because I just wanted to see his sleep stuff and like his resting heart rate. What do y'all think his resting heart rate is?
59.
67.
42.
What?
Super low.
42.
Wow.
I know, I'm
It's like
impressed.
I am
Jordan.
impressed.
I've
He
seen
took-
Jordan's at 39 before on Whoop.
He took 13 breaths a minute last night sleeping.
Well, dang.
I know.
It's not bad.
I know, so he's all healthy and eats like crap.
He's one of them.
But genetics, you know what I mean?
It does play a big role.
It does.
Yeah. We did listen to somebody talk about that, and it doesn't necessarily, not to take a shot at Brian because he's very fit.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's the fittest person in the room if he has the lowest heart rate.
Yeah,
This is just genetics. Some people will have a naturally low heart rate. Some people
that's
have
me.
a naturally
Mine
high
is
heart rate.
naturally
Yeah, we've
low.
already talked.
My blood
Shane
pressure
through this.
is low.
Even
Shane's
Through the roof.
sitting here right now at 97 beats per minute.
Probably for
What
sure.
is it? What is it? Look it up.
Right now,
Yeah, let's
currently,
pull it up on your Whoop.
let's see.
Everybody check theirs.
I get nervous
Mine's
when we do these.
65.
Mine might be high. Mine's 62.
My phone's recording.
64. Not bad. 64 right now.
Wow.
65.
It's going
66.
up.
I'm nervous. You put me on the spot.
And like carbs and fats, your body, like depending on your genetics, whether you can digest them well or not.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Both of those.
I was going to see if we wanted to kind of get into. We had just listened to something about like how some people. We talked about this the other day. How some people burn carbs, or they need carbs before they work out, or they need fat before they work out. I don't know if we want to get into that.
Yeah, I'd say.
I guess like let's talk about some people. It wasn't intolerant. That wasn't the right word.
Sensitive.
Some people are. I
I don't
feel
know
like that's
the
a
right
good word.
word. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, let's say you have 50 grams of carbs, and you get tired. You
Yeah.
probably shouldn't be eating carbs before you work out
Yeah.
because you don't burn them fast.
Yeah. Yeah,
You don't burn them first.
Right. No, you don't burn them fast enough, I think was what he was talking about.
Okay.
So if you feel like you need to take a nap after eating 50 grams
50
of
to
carbs,
70 grams. Like, not a lot. That's not a lot.
we all
What kind of carbs?
We all will feel like
Really, it can be any kind of carbs.
any of them, yeah.
Not like the quick ones, though. Not the quick ones.
Okay.
Like, not like gummies.
So, like...
I wouldn't think.
I think it would be
It's
okay
any
with
of them?
gummies. Yeah,
Okay.
any of them. So what he's pointing out was all of us should feel like you have to take a nap if you eat 300 grams of carbs.
Like, if you're having a pasta, if you're having pizza, like, super high carby meals.
And you have
Go to
a dessert,
Italian
ice cream,
Yes.
cookies, pasta.
Yes, like, you're going to be tired.
We got to stop.
You should feel like you got to take a nap, yeah. Because it's a lot. But if after just 50 grams of carbs you feel that way, you probably should not eat carbs right before you work out.
You think that's a metabolism problem?
I think they were talking about it being these are people way smarter than we are.
Mm-hmm.
At least me anyway.
That
Being
it
a
just-
genetic
your-
thing.
yeah, your
the way your
carbs-
body processes.
Yeah, your carbs are not burning. They're burning too fast. What did you just say?
They're not burning fast enough, I believe. Yeah.
So you would probably need, if you were that person that you could test this out easily by getting 50 grams of carbs, 50 to 70 grams, eat it, and just see if you get tired. You probably need to eat like a healthy fat or a fat because your fats are burning.
Or work out without eating beforehand.
Yes.
At basically a fasted state.
Yes.
So, and that's fine too. So, on that note, a lot of people will like come in and I didn't eat anything today, and I feel a little funky, and that
He's
everybody's
bombing back and forth.
yeah. And that's genetics too, right? Some people like to and need to eat beforehand. Some people don't. But if you have been eating like decent, you're fine to work out. So like your body on our workouts, and I think we talked about this a little bit in the last couple of podcasts, maybe we didn't. But our body stores enough energy in our bloodstream and muscles to get us through close to an hour of working out, which is a full class hour. We're not working out the whole time, right? You got plenty of energy stored in there. So you're going to be fine to work out. Now, you may not feel incredible if you don't have anything on your stomach, because as your body starts to burn those, it's like, hey, I need something to replenish this, and it goes to your digestive system and there's nothing there. Well, that's not a bad thing, because then where's it going to go? To your fat stores. And most of us want to, hey, tone up a little bit or lose some body fat, so let it go to those fat stores and get it from there. So, but we have enough energy in our muscles and bloodstream to work out in a fasted state.
What do y'all like to do? Do y'all like fasted or?
I like to work out fasted.
My whole life, like playing soccer, I always worked out better or played soccer better when I didn't have anything on my stomach. Didn't know that was called a fasted thing. Like, had no idea. But just always felt so much better. If we had night games, like I had to be very careful of what I ate. I just felt so much better if we had earlier games where I couldn't eat. You know what I mean? And now I don't pay attention to it as much, but I do notice when I feel the best is when I am accidentally fasted. I don't do intermittent fasting right now. I've done it before, but I never have paid attention to that. I just knew. I always told my parents, like, I don't need to eat anything. I play better when I don't have anything on my stomach. Honestly, did not even know that was a thing until recently.
No, I was like that performance-wise in sports and like track and stuff. I didn't really want to eat before I raced.
This is a lot of running.
I was like, even throughout the day, I didn't eat that much.
Yeah.
Like later into the season, I would start like, hey, I need to eat like a granola bar or something. But I'd go almost all day without eating. But when it comes to exercise and working out, when I started CrossFit, obviously I don't eat before I work out in the mornings. I don't want to eat before I work out at 6, so I'm not going to eat beforehand. But if I come back and work out in the afternoon, I definitely have to eat before I come. I've noticed.
Like how recently before you come?
So if I come back and work out at 2 or 3 o'clock, I need to eat at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Even though I eat breakfast at 7:30, 8 o'clock, I need to eat again before I come work out at 2 o'clock, around 12, 1 o'clock. Yeah. Or else I do feel I just feel like I can't give it as much. I don't feel as high energy. I don't feel strong. I don't feel great about the workout. And that's actually something that I've experienced personally, because I was doing that for a while, and I could definitely tell, like especially when I got to cutting grass, working out in the morning, cutting grass all day. If I go and try to work out without eating lunch or something, it was not a good workout for me.
Yeah.
What would y'all consider a fasted state? Like how long without eating before it's considered fasted?
I'd say at least 12 hours.
Think so?
I was gonna say like I don't know.
I was gonna say 8 to 12.
I don't know.
I would say
Yeah.
12. Probably. Most of the time, you think of it as like, okay, I ate dinner, didn't eat all night while you're sleeping, obviously, and then you wake up and go work out, and so you're hitting around that 12-hour mark at some point around that time.
Sometimes I'll be getting up in the peanut butter jar.
Some of us,
You know? Okay, so this is a real story. When I was bodybuilding, and I told y'all I was doing low fat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would get up in the middle of the night, and I would go straight to the peanut butter jar and get this huge scoop of peanut butter, go back to my bed, eat it, and then I'd wake up in the morning and not remember anything. The spoon would
was
just
right
be
there.
there.
Your body needed it.
I know, isn't that sad?
It is sad.
so funny.
It's really funny, but that's like your body knew.
But every night, y'all.
your body knew.
Isn't that bad? I know.
That's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, so your body, I feel like it will tell you like
Yeah.
what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you need
sleep
cookies
eating?
all the time? Yeah.
You're sleep eating?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I was hungry.
wild.
I was really hungry.
I think your body will tell you what you need. I think that a lot of this is experimental because everybody's different. So doing something and you have to be consistent with it for like weeks,
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks before you can really tell how your body's feeling. But I think you have to, like, hey, we're in this for the long term. So let's try something out for 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, I didn't really feel that great. Let me try something else out. Or, hey, I feel really good, but let me try something else out anyway and see if it gets bad and just kind of figure it out so you know yourself. And then you know. So then from there you can spend the rest of your life understanding how your body works.
It's
It may
really
change
fun.
some. And be able to go off of that. So that when you do get off course, you know that you're off course or why something's feeling's off.
I'm one of those people that just want somebody to tell me how my body works.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it for yourself.
You gotta
Just tell me.
do a bunch of different
But
things.
you do.
You
There's
know?
there's no real way to actually tell you how your body. You just got to figure it out.
Just
for
try
yourself.
something out, and then
Yeah.
try something else.
John, you should have all the answers.
Yeah.
It's got a lot, but
I've been playing around with my coffee
yeah.
lately. I told
Yeah.
you that.
Drink
so,
it black.
No. Heck no.
like
Just
mine
the timing.
black.
The
I'm just kidding.
timing.
I don't like the
Yeah.
coffee.
So I heard this thing, and it's like, I don't remember who said it, but if you wait 90 minutes to drink your caffeine in the morning, the like receptors that caffeine would go to, say as soon as you wake up, you have these receptors, and if you drink a cup of coffee, it will go and hit those receptors. Well, if you leave them open for a little while and then drink your coffee 90 minutes after, you won't have that crash in the afternoon because your receptors are like, oh, okay, like we don't have to have this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've been playing around with that. So I'll like get up, go to Southside, come home, coffee, or get up, work out, come home, coffee, and it really does make a difference. Like I think I've been doing that for a month, maybe a little bit over a month.
Yeah.
And like
You
I
can
don't,
tell a difference.
Yeah,
That's
like I don't
awesome.
want anything in the afternoon, even like food around the 2 or 3 o'clock, because I would eat some food instead of caffeine because I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I would eat food to get like a little boost of energy, and I don't even want that anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
So,
I have heard that too.
Yeah.
So I've tried to delay coffee a little bit. Sometimes that's hard though.
as soon
a
as
rough
John
night.
wakes up, he's
When
like,
it's been a rough night.
The past
Coffee.
week I have like
Was that
I'll
you've
turn
been
the
doing
coffee
good?
pot on. I'll go drink a glass of water. I'll try to do that, like a tall glass of water, and then just sit there and read for 30 minutes and then drink coffee.
yeah.
Not 90 minutes, but maybe.
Hey, that's better
Maybe
than
it's
nothing,
better than
you know.
nothing.
At least
Yeah.
one receptor got a little.
But I think it was Huberman that was talking about that, that's science
Yeah.
and a bunch of different
Yeah.
people. But the Huberman Lab's an awesome podcast to listen to just for all kinds of sciencey things. But he was talking about everybody experiences that crash mid-afternoon. And I forget how many hours he said after you wake up. But the one I was listening to was talking about the circadian rhythm and all that, the importance of going to sleep at the same time and all that kind of stuff, and the importance of not hitting snooze. And we can get into that to another podcast. But
I've been doing that.
that'd be
I've
fun.
stopped hitting snooze.
yeah, it's definitely important. But super, super cool. Everybody does experience that crash, though. So if you crash in the middle of the day, you're not weird or unhealthy necessarily.
We all go
There
through
are
it.
ways that we can get better at it, but
Go outside and get some
it's normal.
sunshine.
Yep.
Yeah. I've almost
If
fell
it's
asleep on the
raining, I don't
mower
know
a
what to
couple
tell you.
times.
Oh my gosh.
Put up your dogs.
Just drive by a yard and see Shane pass out.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, cutting down Drug and Alexandria, that big lot next to it. I mean, I'm on the mower for an hour and a half. I'm like, dang. If it wasn't trying to like ride a bull, I'd fall asleep. I hit
That
a
thing
bump
on
every time.
cruise
It's like,
control.
bam, bam.
Well,
Oh man.
let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
So the best way, if you're trying to, I guess, hit a goal, which I think we all should be, is to count your macros or at least be aware of them. Talked a little bit about it when we
Some
did
people that's overwhelming.
Yeah, and
so
that's-
it's not an like you don't have to do it. but
Right.
It's a great way to lose weight.
At least I would recommend at least doing it for a bit just to understand it. So like right now, I'm not sure any of us are doing it like strictly.
Actively, yeah.
I'm definitely
Oh,
not.
Kelsey is.
And that's good because it is the best way. But I'm not actively doing it, but I have a pretty good awareness of what I'm eating and how many calories and stuff, and what the nutrients are that are going into that. So if you are calculating your macros, right?
Sorry, Tucker's taking all the
Yeah.
attention.
They're like making
Tucker.
out. Shane and Tucker.
He's like, y'all are taking too long. If you are calculating your macros, the way this works is protein, which we talked about in the last podcast. A gram of protein is 4 calories. Carbs, a gram of carbs is 4 calories. And fats, a gram of fat is 9 calories. And that's where you get in trouble because fat's not as filling, but it's over double the energy.
Yeah.
So that's where you can get in trouble with that. But let's say you're trying to maintain weight and you need 2,000 calories to maintain weight. Well, between your proteins, fats, and carbs, you've got to equal around 2,000 calories to maintain. If you're trying to lose weight, you need less than that. If you're trying to gain weight, you need more than that. It really is simple math when it comes down to that. So if you're calculating these up, we already talked about with the protein. I weigh around, let's say, 200 pounds just for simplicity's sake.
What a big dog.
So yeah, so I need around, if I'm doing 1 gram per pound of body weight, I need around 800 calories worth of protein. So 200 grams of protein. So 800 minus 2,000, that's 1,200. That leaves me 1,200 calories left over for carbs and for fat. I can break those down any way that I want to, and you're still going to reach the same goal. But all the things that we've just talked about between carbs and fats, it's going to largely affect how you feel when you work out, how you feel in general, how you think, your mood, all those things. So that's what you've got to play around with and see genetically, like how your body processes things. What you want to do is going to set you up for something that's going to be sustainable. Everybody's different. So doing math, take that 1,200. Let's say you really, really like fats, and you're pretty good at not doing carbs, and that's the way you want to do it. That's fine. So let's say you get 400 grams from carbs. That's 100 grams of carbs a day. Still a pretty good bit, but I mean, that's not as much as you might think. That leaves you 800 calories worth of fat left to get. So remember, it's 9 calories per gram of fat. So you're looking at like 80 to 90 grams of fat. And that's just doing the math off the top of my head, but I think it's pretty close. So that would be how you would break down your macros. So you're getting in 200 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and then around 90 grams of fat per day. Stay around those, you're going to be great. You're going to be set to maintain. And then you add 400 or 500 calories if you want to gain weight, add or subtract 400 or 500 if you want to lose weight. And you take those from the carbs and fat, not from your protein. Protein stays the same. That's how you would calculate it number-wise. Simple enough?
Very simple.
In case anyone's wondering, John did all that math in his head earlier.
I did.
He did. Right
Just now, not earlier.
Oh.
off the
I
dome.
was like,
Just
were you
now.
talking about this earlier?
But yeah, I think it was pretty close.
Matthew, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. That's very
Yeah.
helpful to kind of talk through. And like all the things that we've kind of hit on today, that fats are going to just be in higher calories. So obviously you would have a little bit less grams there than you would carbs. And makes sense. It all makes sense. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. What about if you don't count macros?
Yeah,
And
what
you-
do you do?
Yeah. So
What do you do?
what's the advice there? for carbs and fats?
I would think percentages. I mean, that's how I look at my macros. Is I do 35 protein, 35 carbs, 30 fat. So does that add up? Yes. So when you I'm cooking, like when you create a plate, do the same thing. Like cut it up, like make it a pie chart. You know what I mean? Like I get this many carbs. Like just create a healthy plate. You know?
Yeah.
Making sure you get protein here, carbs here, your fats. When you cook, most of the time it's gonna be oil.
Yeah.
Or butter.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just being aware, like when you're
Yeah.
eating, like if you're not trying to track anything, but you still want to just be intentional about how much are you consuming of each, you know that,
Yeah.
hey, I
Fats
probably
is-
shouldn't consume a whole bunch of this, or I shouldn't consume a whole bunch of
Right.
fats, or I shouldn't consume a whole bunch of carbs. Maybe I need to consume more protein, just being intentional about your percentages of what you're consuming.
Yeah. Fats are hard to understand how much you're consuming, though. And I think it's where people
People cook with them.
you cook with fats. There's a lot of fat in meat. There's a lot of fat in a lot of foods that you don't realize is in there.
Maybe looking at your labels, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look
What
at
would
labels,
be
it's
a
helpful.
what would be a low fat oil that people could cook in? Something that
I don't know if it's low fat, but
but
there's
it's
a
really
healthier
the
one.
better-
healthier option. I know, like avocado.
Yeah,
I do
avocado
avocado oil,
That's pretty good.
but
The
and
extra-
also it has a higher burning temperature, so you can cook. Like olive oil burns very quickly, and smoke. So for anybody who cooks, avocado oil.
Chef.
Wow,
Shane
say.
over there.
I do think it's important to add there, though, if you're cooking with oil like regularly, you probably don't need, and you're trying to stay like moderate around your fats. You probably don't really need that much extra fat. So in other words, you're like, oh, I don't have any fat in this meal, even though you cooked with oil and there's fat in your meat. You probably don't need to cut up a whole avocado and eat that too. You're just doing a lot of fats there. There's a lot of fat in stuff you're already eating. So just for simplicity's sake, understand I'm cooking with this. It's also in my meat unless I'm doing like chicken or something super lean like that. So I probably don't need to add the extra fat. If you're trying to keep that fat low, which is going to keep your calories relatively low, just kind of leave it at that.
I don't know. I have a hard time with fat, and I cook like every meal, and like if you eat processed foods a lot or eat out a lot, you're gonna get fat easy.
Tons of fat.
But if you cook at home, I have to sit there and eat cashews just to meet my fat goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because like in the morning I eat dates before I work out, and then I eat oatmeal. I have to put almond butter in there.
Right.
And then lunch, like I might eat tacos with a little bit of cheese, and then at the end of the day I'm like sitting on 20 grams of fat, and I have 35 more to go. I'm like, well, crap. It's very hard if you're looking at like whole food type cooking,
Yeah.
but if you eat out, you good.
Yeah.
You good.
One meal, you're good for a week.
Yeah.
Tons of fat.
Yeah.
That's where they get you in trouble.
Especially
for
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut
Your
is
favorite
so
place,
good.
Kate?
Look, it's just
Really?
It's the
That-
first pizza place that did the cheese stuffed
That
crust.
cardboard box it comes in, it's going to be soaked in pizza grease.
So good. That's what I said. I
This
told
is
Kate, I
so
said
good.
Pizza
I
Hut's
don't
good,
eat it.
No, you like
but
Pizza
if I'm gonna
Hut.
eat Pizza Hut, I can't do anything
was the
afterwards
thing.
because it's
We can
so-
start a war right now. Little Caesars is the best pizza.
the best.
No.
Absolutely.
The best. Like not just,
I'm a little
not
upset
just
about
cost.
the price raise, but
It's
still,
okay. It's still the cheapest.
the
Like you're just
ta-
talking about like the
Fast
best
food
Yeah,
pizza?
yeah.
I'm
We're
saying
talking about
dish
fast
lunch
food
combo.
pizza.
Fast food pizza.
We're not talking about like
it tastes the
quality
best.
pizza.
Lou
No, I just don't agree
Malnati's
with you.
is the best.
Okay, but we're
Who?
In Chicago.
it's- yeah.
Illuminati.
Lou
That's what,
Malnati's.
that's what we called it. Illuminati pizza. No, Little Caesars is trash.
no,
Cardboard.
no.
Like
Delicious cardboard.
it tastes like
It's
this
good.
wall.
No, it doesn't.
You just haven't had the right Little Caesar experience.
Look, Pizza Hut is the one who started the cheese stuffed crust, and I was in high school. Those were my big girl days, so
Big girl days.
fat and carbs days. I ain't like no
Fat and
cardio
sassy
anymore.
days.
Fat and sassy days. That's like all we had around us. Domino's were just trash. Papa John's
Domino's
trash.
has made a comeback.
They
though.
have. They
I
have.
like
Domino's is great.
Domino's.
Yeah,
Yes.
Domino's is really good
Good
now. I
stuff.
do like them, but I did not growing up. We had like little. We're talking
Domino's
about pizza
alright.
again. My mouth is watering.
I
had
think
pizza last night.
getting back to
One Italian.
nutrition.
Um,
I think though, if you have a pretty decent like knowledge, then you can eat. So we're talking about foods that are generally we would consider unhealthy, right? If you go and get Pizza Hut pizza, generally that's an unhealthy food. But if you have a pretty good knowledge of, hey, what I'm actually taking into my body when you eat that, then you can kind of
manipulate the rest of your day.
Exactly. Manipulate the rest of your day to not go over too bad, or so that you're fine. You don't have to.
I know
think
several
like you've been
people in the
completely
gym.
derailed.
I know several people in the gym that I think we've all done it too. If when we are counting macros, and if we know like I'm going on a date tonight, or it's Friday night, I'm going on a date. You know where you're gonna go. Like you're gonna be pretty aware of what you're eating the first half of the day, so that way you can indulge. You know, you wanna be able to indulge. And I'm not saying that like if you eat a little bit normal throughout the day and then at the end of the day you indulge and then you overindulge, you know, that's where you get in trouble is the overindulging. Like just be aware of what you're doing. And there's going to be days where you overindulge.
And if you do, it's fine.
Yeah, just get back to it the next day.
Yeah.
Like don't punish yourself.
You don't need that extra glass of wine. Don't do it.
Yes,
do
you
not
do.
punish yourself. Yeah. Drink the wine and then just get back to normal the next day.
Yeah, you don't have to come to the gym and do a 45-minute brutal workout just because you ate bad one night.
Yeah.
That doesn't work like that.
No, it
Yeah.
I used to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be 45. It should be 55. I'm just kidding.
Well, are there any other thoughts, comments, concerns on carbs or fats from us that we would like to leave the people with?
They are important.
They are important. Don't cut them out just because your grandma told you needed to.
Don't neglect your fats and carbs.
Be smart.
Yeah, I think preference, like you said, plays a big role in it. If you like carbs, you can get your goals eating carbs. If you like fats, you can reach your goals eating mostly fats. It's just you gotta.
If you like both of them,
then
we gotta get you figured out on your protein.
Yeah, well, protein should stay the same.
But like,
no matter
there's some
what.
people that just don't like protein.
Yeah.
We gotta get you figured out on the protein.
Right. That's not.
Lentils and beans.
Like we, yeah, absolutely. Like we said in the last podcast with protein is non-negotiable. It's not one you get to play around with. But carbs and fats are. We can make it happen. You just gotta. Sometimes you gotta be creative. So.
Ask Kelsey, or I guess Chef Shane too.
Yeah,
No,
you know.
well,
Hey, I
Actually,
learned from Kelsey.
So get
I watched Kelsey whip it up in there.
I do like to cook.
Make some good meals. If you haven't had a home cooked meal from Kelsey yet, you're missing out. Don't ask for one either because you're taking away from my mouth.
Oh my gosh.
All right, well that's it for this fats and carbs talk.
Let's do it again next week.
Yep.
See you in the gym.